All right, so the first thing you guys are going to do, and this is what the ruler is for, okay? I want you to basically measure just how wide your shoe is, okay? So I'm going to take my ruler, I'm going to just measure my shoe. It's about 10.5 inches long, okay? So go ahead and measure your shoe, and then what we're going to do is we're going to draw a line on our canvas that represents the width of that shoe, and it's going to actually start, it's going to be the beginning of the bottom of our shoe, or the sole of the shoe. So you want to decide what kind of angle you want to have on the shoe right now, but whatever you do, make sure that you kind of put this line towards the bottom of your canvas, because if you draw this line too high up, you start drawing your shoe, it's going to go past the edge of your canvas board, okay? So make sure that you're giving yourself enough room to draw your shoe on top of this. So I'm going to go ahead and give this a pretty good angle. So again, my shoe is 10.5 inches long, so I'm going to draw a line that's 10.5 inches long. And this is what's going to represent the bottom of my shoe. Okay? So I need everybody to do that right now. Now that might just be the last time you ever use this ruler. Now some people like to continue to use the ruler to measure out parts of their shoe, and if you want to, that's fine. I'm not going to be doing that. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do, guys, you want to make sure that you're listening. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to divide this space in half, and I'm just going to use my hands. I'm just going to kind of bring them into the middle to find the middle. I do this a couple times just to make sure that I'm guessing pretty accurately. So I want to find the middle of this space. Again, I didn't use my ruler. I'm not going to, but you can do it that way if you want to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to those 3 drawing techniques that we used for the contour tricycle project, okay? And this is the beginning of finding the midpoint. So what I want to do is I want to find where is the middle of my shoe. So if I take my hands on either side of my shoe and bring them together, I want to find the middle. So when I look at the middle, it's about right here. I'm going to put my pencil right here. It's about right here. So what I notice is that the middle of the shoe is actually right here at the beginning of the arch of the shoe. Okay? So what I want you guys to do is find the middle of your shoe and do it just the same way that I just did. Put your hands at both ends of your shoe. Bring your hands together. Find the middle. And ask yourself, how does that relate to the arch of the shoe? My arch is going to be to the right of it. Now, if you've got your shoe turned around, it could be completely opposite of mine. Okay? So that means if this is the middle, then I need to start drawing the arch of my shoe right here. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. So this is the arch. Now, for some of you guys, your shoe might have a really high arch. For some of you others, your arch might be really kind of shallow. So you do whatever kind of shape you think best represents your shoe. Now, everybody should be drawing this right now. But again, you can't draw on your canvas board until you have your base color down first. So for those of you that might be waiting for your paint to dry, you will need to, I would just work in your sketchbook while you're waiting for the paint to dry. It might take anywhere between 5 to 10 minutes. All right, so now what I'm going to do, if you've got like an athletic style shoe like me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take these 2 halves and I'm going to break them in half again. So I'm going to take the front half, divide this in half. I'm going to take this back half and I'm going to break that in half again. So I've got these marks. So again, I'm still using that drawing method, finding the midpoint. And I'm going to go ahead and draw these lines kind of high up, because I'm going to use these for a lot of my shoe. I'm not using a ruler again, I'm just kind of freehand drawing this. So now what I want to do is I want to look at my shoe now. The way that I have it here up on the screen, you can't really tell. I will. Maybe this will help. So if you guys look, if I put the ruler right at the very bottom of the shoe, you'll notice that the front part of the shoe right here does not sit flat on the ruler, and nor does the back of the shoe. And this is purposely put in design of the shoes to make it comfortable for you to make steps, okay, is that you'll see that, again, the back and the front both do not sit flat on your table. So what I want to do is I want to figure out where does it start to lift off the table. So again, I'm going to measure that, okay? I want to figure out where that is, and I can tell that it starts to lift up about right here on the front, but on the back, it happens about right here. So I'm going to make those marks. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to start drawing the sole of my shoe, the very bottom of the shoe, and I'm going to just make it very general. I've got a lot of like little bumps and grooves and these like kind of tread. I am not drawing any of that right now. I just want to draw the basic shape of the sole of shoe. I'm not going to draw any of those details in yet until I know where all this stuff needs to go. So I'm going to start drawing the back part of my heel. This is where it needs to lift up. So I want to make sure I go above the line there. And then here, again, I'm going to kind of curve this. And this is what's going to help you make your shoe look really three-dimensional. So there's that. Okay, so that represents the bottom of my shoe. Again, I am completely ignoring all of these details like the tread, these grooves. I'm not drawing any of that, and I'm not going to draw it until I know that I have my shoe basically mapped out correctly. So now what I'm going to do, the next step, I'm going to go through, and at these different parts, different sections of the shoe, I am going to measure just how thick the sole of my shoe is at these different marks that I've made, okay? So I'm going to go through, I'm going to measure, and I'm just going to put a dot where that needs to be, and then I'll connect it for the top, okay? So that's the next step you guys need to do. So just remember, guys, everybody should be drawing along with me, doing the same thing. And I always like to go back through and remeasure, because that one's too tall. Miss Billy, you can work on your background if you want. I always go back, remeasure, and fix them up. So after I do that, then all I'm going to do is I'm just going to connect these again. I'm ignoring a lot of these details. I have a lot of different sections on the sole of my shoe, so I have like the gray, the white, and the pink. I'm not breaking any of that up yet. Keeping it basic. And then I will just give it a general sort of like I'll cap the back of this the sole off, and I'll fix that up and make it the way it needs to look later. But it just helps me to kind of see the shoe a little bit better. So that's just the basic. Again, I'm skipping over a lot of those details, not including any of that. You never want to do details early on in the project just because, again, you will find that, this stuff might be the wrong size or you need to fix it, and you would hate to have to erase all of those details and have to redraw them. That's what I call a big waste of time. So this is a better way to spend your time. So when you do those details, you should be very confident by at that point, about your drawing. So I'll give you just a couple minutes to work on the sole, just kind of making adjustments. The next part I'm going to work on is drawing this opening. I'm going to go up and start drawing that next, and I'll show you how to do that. This is a part that a lot of people kind of get a little nervous about. All right, so I'll give you guys just a couple minutes to work on that. Okay, so I'm going to keep going now. So the next thing I want to do, and I kind of have the shoot, it's probably not exactly the right perspective, but what I want to do is I want to find out where this high part is at the opening of my shoe. Okay, so I want to figure out the high part. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to see how that's aligned with the rest of my shoe. So I'm going to go back and use plumb and level. So if I look at that, it's almost perfectly aligned with the sort of the right side of my arch of my shoe. So it's not at the center. It's not at the back fourth. It's going to be kind of in between. So it's going to be right there at the end of the arch. So what I'm going to do is kind of make a mark where that needs to be. And I'm going to go ahead and draw a line all the way up here because that peak is going to be somewhere on this. I just want to figure out where it needs to go, and I'm going to use what I've already got drawn to help me with that. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do then is I'm going to measure how tall this is off of my sole of the shoe, and I'm going to take that measurement and put it down on my paper, and that's exactly where I'm going to start that section. It's going to be right there. So that's where that's going to go. That's where my high spot is going to be. Again, you guys all have different shoes. Yours is going to be in different places than mine. So then I'm just going to go ahead and start by just kind of giving it this like little arch right there. Now again, your shoe might have a different design. And then the next thing I want to do is I want to figure out where's the lowest part of this. Okay, so where's the lowest part? So again, I'm going to see where that is aligned to my shoe and to the sole of the shoe. And again, I'm going to use what I already have drawn to help me draw the rest. So that's kind of aligned right here. And that looks like it's about, it might even be right on top of the back fourth mark that I made. So I just need to measure this out. And it is. So it's aligned with this. And then again, I'm going to measure off the sole of my shoe to the top of this, measure that, and then just mark it right on here. So that's where that's going to be. And I always double check. I need to make it a little bit higher. And so I'm going to go ahead and connect these two parts just so I can have something on here. Now when you're drawing, guys, you have to draw it wrong first to be able to draw it right. So I'm always counting on the fact that this is probably wrong, but I will play with it and make it better. Do you need something? Okay. up. Hey, come here. There's one kid in here that's not here. Eric and Josh, come on up here. Now. All right, so I'm going to continue and I'm going to work on the back of the shoe. So this part. So this is the part a lot of people get a little messed up with, okay? So you have to go down to the office. So this front part right here, you notice this is the part that I've been drawing. I haven't even addressed this back edge yet. I have not even done that. But I'm going to start doing it here very soon. So what I want to do next is I want to figure out where is this. Okay, so where is that part? If you notice, this is not the very back of the shoe. Okay? It's close to it, but it's not the very far back. So I want to see, okay, so I've got the lowest part, so where does it come back up, and it comes back up high. This is still lower than that part, so I know that it needs to be lower, and I know it needs to be not quite at the end. So I am going to mark, again, where I think that needs to be. That actually matches up with where the sole of shoe, it's aligned with where the sole of shoe lifts up off the table. Sorry, I need to make that straight. And then again, I'm going to just simply measure off the, I'm going to measure on the actual shoe, off the sole of the shoe, where that needs to be. I need to do that again. There we go. And so it comes up there. So now I know where to draw this line to. And then just to try to make sense of all of this, I'm going to go ahead and draw the back of the shoe, and you'll notice, again, this is not a straight line. This is for our heel of our foot, so it's kind of curved out. I'm going to draw this just a little bit higher than where it just ended. So I've got this gap right here. I'm going to leave that gap there for just a little bit longer. But now that I have this part, I can even keep playing with this shape. Always find as soon as you add something new to your drawing, it gives you something new to fix, and that's natural. So if you're not making adjustments along the way, you're probably doing something wrong. So always be open to adjusting, changing, tweaking. Okay? All right, so the next thing I'm going to do now, I'm going to finally start drawing the back of the shoe, this back side. I'm going to start drawing it. One thing that you'll notice is that the shape mimics the front, so that's helpful. But what I need to do is I need to figure out just how much taller it is. So, again, I'm going to measure. I'm going to mark, and then I'm just going to kind of start mimicking this shape. Hopefully I'm happy with this, because if this is wrong, then that is wrong. So make sure you're happy with the front part. And then the high part on the other side, on the back, what I notice is that it is to the right of the one that I already have drawn. So I'm going to draw this other one right here, a little bit offset from it. It's going to be off to the right, because that's the way I see it. And then I'm going to continue to kind of mess with this shape a little bit. So if you notice, guys, now I have this big gap right here, okay? I'm ready now to make this connection. My advice to you guys is to watch me do this first and then try it yourself, okay? So watch it first and then do it. So on mine, it kind of has like a little shape like this here. Comes up, and then it comes in. Notice I'm not connecting it with the back. Comes in, and then it connects with the back. So this line connects with that line, and then to finish it all off, all I have to do is just draw that like that. So now you can see how thick the back of that shoe is and the material. So that's probably one of the trickiest parts for people to draw. Hopefully that'll help you guys. Takes a little practice, and you might have to do it a couple times till you get it right, and that's fine. You'd rather do that than draw it wrong. So remember, again, you got to draw it wrong to be able to draw it right. So there's that part. I'll give you guys a couple minutes to kind of play around with just that opening before we start moving on to the lace section and the toe.